everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the Daily Show, where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios right here in Hollywood, California. You know, it's a great day to be a Seattle Seahawks fan. Legion of Boom, baby. I told you. But also, I want to thank all of you guys because my phone has been ringing off the hook the last 24 hours from various studios in Hollywood, begging me to sell them the rights to the Felipe, the sentient dancing microphone movie idea that we had on Mailbag the other day, and you guys must have emailed them, so thank you so much for that.
Also here, AMC Movie News production manager, Dennis Sen.
Worst Super Bowl ever.
Awesome Super Bowl.
And I'm not talking about who won or lost. Right. It was so
one-sided.
Boring. It was so boring. So whether the Broncos or the Seahawks won, it was just like I had people at my place that were Seahawks fans that were just bored.
Yeah. After the first half, it was like,
yeah.
Oh well.
Yesterday afternoon, the heartbreaking news broke that one of the most beloved actors in Hollywood today, Philip Seymour Hoffman, had passed away at the tragically young age of 46. Hoffman died in his apartment by what police describe as an apparent drug overdose. Hoffman was nominated 4 times at the Academy Awards and winning once for Best Actor in Capote. John, your thoughts on the passing of Philip Seymour Hoffman?
I've already mentioned that, yes, we did Mailbag this weekend. I was literally doing Mailbag yesterday, live. And I'm sure a bunch of you guys were there with me. And all of a sudden, a couple of people I got a text message on my phone beside me, and I saw one comment pop up in the chat board saying Philip Seymour Hoffman died, and I looked down at my phone that had just buzzed, Philip Seymour Hoffman died. I'm like, what? And I said to everybody, guys, I'm just getting this news in, and I opened up my web browser, and I went to some reliable news sources, and yeah, it was being broken that Philip Seymour Hoffman had died. And this is one of those things where I will always remember where I was when I heard that Philip Seymour Hoffman died. It's like the Heath Ledger thing. I was literally coming out of a screening at Lionsgate Studio, and all of the journalists who were there with me, all checking our phones in the foyer, see what messages we missed, and everybody just stopped. Like 20 film journalists in the foyer, and we all kind of looked up silent at each other because we all got the same message. Heath Ledger had passed away. This is tragic on so many levels. Number one, he really is, the way Ashley described it, he really is one of the most beloved. People love seeing Philip Seymour Hoffman in film. He's one of those guys, I had a chance to meet him a couple of times, and he never struck me. He's one of those guys who never looked for the spotlight. He never wanted to be the center of attention, And I remember even doing a Q&A with him for the first film he ever directed. It was called Jack Goes Boating. And it was very weird. You could tell he was even uncomfortable sitting in a chair in front of an audience, because that's not the type of guy he was. He just loved his work, and he loved his craft, and he loved what he did. 4 times nominated for an Academy Award for his acting. Once winning for Best Lead Actor for Capote, and that performance was amazing. He did this little movie called Pirate Radio. I think that was the name of it. Do you remember that one? He did with Bill Nye, where they did this pirate radio station from a boat, that they did rock and roll from a boat.
No, I never saw it.
Not a very good film, but he was so good in it, actually. He was actually so, and he always brought, he always brought something different every single role. From being the chubby, lighthearted guy to being the fearful villain, the terrifying villain in a Mission Impossible film. He could do it all. And then even popping up in a film, a different type of genre, like a Hunger Games. And he was great in Hunger Games. It is sad. But here's one of the other things that makes me even more sad. I read the story about Philip Seymour Hoffman passing away. And it was not 10 minutes after the news broke that the narrative online had, in just 10 minutes, shifted from the loss of a great talent to what needles were found in his arm, to what did he overdose on. And look, I believe that we should tell cautionary tales. And I do believe in not whitewashing truth. And I do believe, there's value in talking about and understanding how even the most rich and the most famous among us have their own demons to fight. I believe in all that. But can we give it 48 hours? before we make the narrative all about which drug did he OD on. There is value in talking about this stuff. I'm not going to disagree. But I think, let's at least give us 24 hours. And so it was really disappointing for me as an online film fanatic seeing the narrative change so quickly. But anyway, let's get back to the real story. Philip Seymour Hoffman, great talent. We've lost a giant. We've lost a great one right in his prime. 46 years old. Anyway, Dennis, where were you? I'm clearly you were at home getting ready for the Super Bowl party, but your reaction when you first heard about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad. He's one of the most was one of the most talented actors that's working today. He, obviously with his Oscar win and all his nominations, he was in. Besides Hunger Games, he also was in stuff where he wasn't the lead role, but he still shined, like Cold Mountain or Talented Mr. Ripley.
3 Academy Award nominations for supporting actor.
Yes.
He didn't have to be the main stage of attention. Yeah, he was incredible that way.
And even in a movie that wasn't that great, like Along Came Polly, like this comedy, he was funny in it, and he stood out. And I remember him in that role, even though it was a side character and it wasn't that great of a movie, but I always remember stuff like that. So yeah, it's really sad that we lost someone that, had many more years left.
Yeah.
In making more performances.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on.
At the Super Bowl, several key movie previews were shown, including spots for Captain America 2, Transformers 4, Need for Speed, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. John, which one of the new spots stood out to you the most?
It's close. It's close. I thought both the Spider-Man and the new Captain America spot, were both wonderful. Both wonderful. I'm going to have to say, what won, out of the movie previews, what won Super Bowl? I'm going to go with one in the middle there. I'm going to go with Captain America. I'm going to say the Captain America one. I think Spider-Man 2 is going to be the best movie out of this bunch. I've actually started hearing from some pretty reliable people that Spider-Man 2, this is the language that was said to me, Spider-Man 2 is going to be what The Dark Knight was to the new Batman franchise. And I'm hearing that from a couple of people. So I'm really, really excited about it. I can't wait. The one I was most looking forward to seeing, the most curious to seeing, though, was the Transformers one. And a lot of people started tweeting me instantly and Facebook messaging me once the Transformers spot aired because Grimlock's there. And if Grimlock is there, that has to get you excited, no doubt. And I was excited to see it. A couple of iffy things to me, though. Was that Megatron again?
Yeah.
That was Megatron again.
It looked like him.
Megatron has, let's keep in track here, Megatron has died twice at the end of the movies and come back. Now he's come back again, so nobody dies in the Transformers thing. So it looks like Megatron is back once again. And a part of me is very excited about that because I love the Megatron character. But part of me is like, how many times are you going to kill him? You've killed him and buried him twice, and now he's back again. Some people are thinking the big flying Transformers might have been Predaking.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, I got a feeling it might be a slightly different variation of Swoop. I think that it might be Swoop, but they've gone a different direction. It's probably
made him really big.
Maybe made him really big. Maybe it's Predaking. But the big thing, of course, is Grimlock. That shot of Optimus Prime riding a robotic Tyrannosaurus Rex with a giant sword. That is the definition of manliness. Optimus Prime riding a robotic Tyrannosaurus Rex wielding a giant sword. But here's the thing, as a little bit of a Transformers purist, I gotta say, in the words of Grimlock, and I'll quote Grimlock here, me Grimlock not horsey, me Grimlock king. That's exactly what Grimlock would say, I think, if Optimus Prime ever suggested. Grimlock is his own dude. He is not Optimus Prime's noble steed. I know I'm getting really geeky on this, but because of Grimlock acting like Optimus's horse, seeing Megatron back again, it was just some very quick cut stuff. We didn't really see a lot. I went away from watching the Transformers preview, and remember, it's just a short 30-second preview. It doesn't mean anything. But I walked away just going, okay, that was cool to see, but not really psyched about it like I was about Captain America and about Spider-Man 2. And the other thing, the other spot that they played was a Need for Speed. Bad spot.
Yeah.
Just a random shot of a bunch of different cars racing down streets.
To me, that was a waste of money.
It was a waste of money. It was a waste of a spot.
spend all that money to show everyone something that's not going to catch anyone's eye.
No.
It looked really generic.
And I think it was a bad decision on their part. I know Need for Speed needs the help.
Yes.
They should, if Disney's going to buy that Super Bowl spot, they should have used it for Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that part
well,
of
that
it
was
needs
the
more
thing.
help.
Everyone was tweeting and Facebooking all of us, like, when is the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer?
And of course, we knew there wasn't going to be one.
They kept saying, I know, we're like, I don't think there's one coming, unless it's a big surprise.
But and which one do you think won?
I'm actually going the opposite of you. I actually think, and this is coming from someone that's not a huge fan of the Bayformers.
Oh my gosh, really? Here we go.
I think that I still don't think it's going to be a good movie, and I think that the Captain America 2 and Amazing Spider-Man are both going to trump it in terms of being a better movie. But I do think that the Transformers spot was the winner of all the movie trailers.
Really? Okay.
Because, number one, we hadn't seen any footage before, so this is the first time looking at it. And two, there was a lot of cool shots. I mean, the thing is, Michael Bay can put together some cool shots. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it fits very well into the narrative of a story, but he makes some cool shots, and so this commercial is perfect for the type of movie that he makes. And I thought, seeing the designs, I thought the Dinobots looked great. I didn't really mind Optimus riding Grimlock. I thought it was cool. I mean, I'm still not a fan of the Optimus Prime lips. They really need to get rid of that. But overall, I thought that was the one that. I mean, I'm going to see it no matter what, but I think it helped me go, okay, maybe it's not going to be as bad as I think it's going to be.
Although I didn't like seeing Megatron is back yet again, part of me does love it, part of me hates it. That was a cool shot, him swooping down the road and having his blade come down and cut that car in half. That did look pretty badass, I'm going to admit. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show called Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news in front of her. She's going to run them down. Then Dennis and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
A couple of very interesting things came out of the box office results this weekend. As expected, being the Super Bowl weekend, the box office was a bit low, but the new Ice Cube Kevin Hart film Ride Along took the #1 spot at the box office for the 3rd week in a row, bringing its total to just under $95 million. Also, the Disney animated film Frozen came in at #2 at the box office in its 11th week of release. Dennis, buy or sell this week's box office numbers?
I mean, I buy it. I mean, no big release really came out. I mean, I guess The Awkward Moment was the biggest release this past weekend. So, and we all knew that it wasn't going to be very big.
Right.
And Ride Along has been kicking ass at the box office, so it being #1. And then, of course, Frozen. It's like the marathon runner that just won't
not quit.
Not quit. And so I think, what is it? It's 360 domestically now and 860 million worldwide. So it's just a juggernaut. It's just not stopping.
Yeah, I mean, there are two very interesting facts about this. Number one, that I think they said there've only been, since like 2009, only been like 10 films that have held on to the #1 spot for 3 weeks in a row. So Ride Along doing that is a really pleasant surprise for the studio. But answer me this off the top of your head. I don't know if you can, I don't know if I can. When's the last time you heard of a movie being #1 at the box office 3 weeks in a row and it not even cracking $100 million? That's rare.
Yeah.
This might be the first time that's ever happened.
It's because it's just, January is kind of a weak movie season.
Right.
Studios dump off what they,
And Super Bowl. And,
yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a reason why I, Frankenstein came out in January. So that's where studios dump stuff they're not really that, positive about.
And you point out, the other thing that just freaks me out about this, 11 weeks it's been in theater and it's still at #2, Frozen. Like right around, I think you said 860. I knew it was around $850 million worldwide. It is not showing any signs of slowing down. Its box office went up this week. It actually went up 2%, whereas normally you drop by like 40 to 50% every week, and it went up 2%. So that's kind of one of the other things. Labor Day. This is the second Joss Brolin-led film in a row that has opened to like $5 million or less. So Labor Day opened at 5. They've got to be disappointed. They knew this wasn't going to be a $50 million opening weekend movie, but I think they got to be a little bit disappointed with 5. Anyway, what's next?
Paramount Pictures and MGM have set a release date for the upcoming Hot Tub Time Machine 2, which will now hit AMC theaters on December 25th. The film stars Rob Corddry, Craig Robinson, Clark Duke, Adam Scott, Chevy Chase, and Gillian Jacobs. Although John Cusack is not returning, the sequel will still have a direct connection to his original character. Adam Scott is playing Cusack's son from 10 years in the future. John, buy or sell a Christmas release date for Hot Tub Time Machine 2?
I buy it, actually. When you looked at the other films that are opening up that weekend, which is it's that one Disney movie, Into the Woods, I think it's called, and there's another, I think it's a sci-fi film opening up as well on Christmas Day. A nice little simple comedy is nice counter-programming put on Christmas Day. And I loved Hot Tub Time Machine. I'm sad John Cusack isn't coming back, but really, the heart and soul of the first one were the three other characters anyway. And I love Adam Scott. He's one of my favorite characters on Parks and Rec, which is my favorite comedy on TV right now. I think he's going to be a nice addition to that. So for me, it's a buy.
I'm going to sell it. Even though I'm really looking forward to the movie. I like the first one. I think the second one's going to be funny. Love Adam Scott as well. But I just think, I don't know, Christmas, it always gets too crowded, and I have a feeling that maybe some other movies will move on to that date. Because remember, Anchorman 2 was supposed to be released on Christmas as well?
Yeah, and then they moved like one week or something.
They moved it a week or two,
yeah.
So I think it would be better if Hot Tub Time Machine 2 moved up a week or two, just to avoid getting, swallowed up or looked over.
Okay, what's next?
J.K. Rowling created quite a stir amongst Harry Potter fans this week when she came out and said that she now regrets that the character Hermione, played in the films by Emma Watson, should have ended up marrying Harry Potter instead of Ron, and that it was a mistake to have it end that way. Dennis, buy or sell Rowling now claiming Hermione should have ended up with Harry?
I buy it big time. Because if you watch the movies, I haven't read the books, so I can't say anything about the books and the chemistry between the characters in the books. But in the movies, it's obvious that Daniel Radcliffe has a much better chemistry with Emma Watson, and not Rupert. Rupert Grint?
Rupert Gint.
Grint, yeah. Especially in those last two movies, there's just like a connection that they have, and so I always felt like, okay, I think she should have gotten together with Harry. Now the thing is I don't blame anyone for that, because I guess in the beginning when they casted the first Harry Potter movie, there were a bunch of kids.
Children, kids
yeah.
are children.
So you couldn't tell chemistry. They couldn't be like, oh, Ron and Emma are gonna get along well. It's like, okay, that's like how many years before the end, the end of the series?
I completely sell her comments. Completely sell. Oh, I regret that we did something different and original. I wish I had just done the formula, which is the main character male ends up with the main character female. And Dennis, there's such a thing as having friendship chemistry. Not just because they have compatible body rubbing parts doesn't mean they have to become a romantic thing. I thought, look, I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but one of the things that I loved about this franchise was the fact that they didn't do the same old lead main character develops romantic relationship with lead female character. I like the fact that they did have a great chemistry, but that didn't mean it had to be romantic. And I really love the fact that they did that, and I think it would have been a horrible mistake for them just do the traditional, just do the Hollywood formula that every movie does. Lead male with lead female, romance, go. I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Well, the problem though is, that's fine. I think it's great if they do that, but you gotta have chemistry. So I'm talking purely the movies. There just wasn't chemistry between Rupert Grint and Emma Watson. It was worse than a friendship. It was weird, It was just really awkward to me.
Okay, fair enough. All right, folks, listen, that'll do it for Buy and Sell. But listen, before we get into Mailbag, I want to remind you, there's a new Kevin Costner film that I actually think looks pretty damn good, opening up in AMC theaters here on February 21st, called 3 Days to Kill. And we've got ourselves a little exclusive clip of that film that we want to share with you right now. So check it out.
Open up. I can't get around your mirror. Mother.
Ma mettete qualche cosa lì! Madonna mia! Ma io non ci sono per niente! Come una cosa se la renda!
3 Days to Kill opens in AMC theaters everywhere on February 21st. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show called Mailbag. Look, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Every day we take a couple questions from the mailbag. Ashley's got a couple of them pulled out right now. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Nico Caruso writes, hello AMC crew, love the show. I am actually really excited to see Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I think he can bring that scary genius persona to the role. Although Eisenberg has quite the mop and Luthor usually has his iconic bald look. Do you think that in the movie we will see him have hair in the beginning and then maybe through some overexposure to kryptonite radiation he loses his hair? I think that would be a really cool way to explain the look. What's your thoughts?
I think it would be a stupid way to explain the look. Great question though, but I know. I think you start the film and you have the film. Look, either Lex has hair or Lex is bald. You go through, you don't. Lex Luthor losing his hair would be a pathetically stupid storyline in the movie, especially in this day and age. Just pathetically stupid. But I will say this, I put this up, I was giving some thought to the whole bald thing, because, you know, I've said before, I don't really care if he has hair or not. Some people got really angry at me, saying, no, he's got to be bald. But I got on my Facebook this past weekend, and I asked this simple question. I said, okay, but what characteristic, what changes about the character of Lex Luthor if he has hair or if he's bald? Because honestly, to me, nothing changes. If you put bald or hair, nothing about the character changes. Now, with, say somebody like a, I don't know, let's say the stuff about Michael B. Jordan maybe playing the Human Torch, right? You say, well, what does it change if he's white or black? Well, actually, it changes a lot of things about him. Like, it changes one of the very fundamental things about Fantastic Four, about the fact that he is blood siblings with Sue Storm. So, you know, that changes. You make that change, and that change creates a domino effect of other changes it would cause. You know, who's the most famous redhead in comics? It's Mary Jane, right? So you change that, and it changes some other things about nicknames she's used in the comics, about the type of personality they've attached her fiery redheadness about her to it. So it changes some things, nothing major. I mean, granted, nothing major. But literally, to me, when I think about Lex Luthor, all other things being equal, would I prefer my Lex Luthor with hair or bald? I prefer my Lex Luthor bald. But if you keep him with hair, does that actually change anything about the character? To me, it was no. So I don't really care if they have him with hair or without. To me, it's a non-issue. What do you think, Dennis?
I don't really care either. Also, originally, the Lex Luthor, when he was first created in the comic books, had hair.
Right.
He had, you know, long, I guess, not long, but he had red hair,
yeah.
Full head of hair. I personally don't really care. I actually, when I was championing Bryan Cranston to be Lex Luthor, I actually was imagining him with hair.
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
I think he would have been a good Lex Luthor with hair. So I don't care either way. I know in the television series they showed how Lex lost his hair, but
right.
I guess you know they have more time to do that. In a movie, it would be maybe a little too short of a time to like focus on such a small detail.
I agree. All right, what's next?
Brevin Campbell writes, John Campia, I have a question for you.
Oh.
Once you said you were unsure that DC is ready to diverge into magic with Shazam, but that also means how would they go into Justice League Dark without magic? I would rather them not make a Justice League Dark at all if they were going to take out the magic element, as just like Marvel's Doctor Strange, it is critical to the character.
Yeah, I mean, and remember, I'm not saying DC is going to stay grounded and not use mythology or magic. I'm just saying I don't know if they're going to. If they want to stay grounded, then they can't. If they're open to going into that direction, then they can. I just don't know which they're going to do. But I think you're right. I think if you preclude anything supernatural, then you can't do a Justice League Dark. But let's be very clear about this, because I get emails about Justice League Dark all the time. You know, with people asking, well, now that Justice League Dark is happening, Justice League Dark isn't happening. Guillermo del Toro has said he's working on it. He'd like to do it. He's got an outline. He's got a guy in mind who he would like to write the script. But Guillermo del Toro gets started on about 50,000 projects every year, it feels like. And so do a lot of filmmakers. Filmmakers are always working on different things. It doesn't mean it's happening. No studio anywhere has said, yes, well, in this case, it has to be Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers does not say, yes, we are going to make a Justice League Dark movie. That hasn't happened. Guillermo del Toro's been talking about it. He wants to get somebody to write a script. But for every one time you have a director who's working on a movie and gets somebody to write a script, 1 out of every 50 of those actually gets made. So they may do a Justice League Dark, but let's be very, very clear. There is no, as of right now, there is no Justice League Dark movie coming. Now, that being said, I think you're right. If they preclude supernatural stuff, if they say our DC universe is going to be based on science as opposed to mythology, then I don't see how you do Justice League Dark at all. But the door stays open if you say Wonder Woman is a descendant of Zeus, or is an offspring of Zeus. If you say Shazam, that his powers are magic-based. If you do that, it leaves the door open for something like Justice League Dark. So it's possible. How do you see it?
Well, technically, the regular Justice League isn't greenlit yet. I mean,
that's true. Yeah, very specific.
There's no release date. They haven't said. They've talked about it, and people are talking about it. I'm sure they're secretly working on it.
Oh yeah.
But it still hasn't been officially announced.
Yeah.
We're having Justice League. It's coming out in 20.
We have no doubt it's coming.
Yes.
But it's not official.
No. And with Justice League Dark, it's something that I don't even know if they're going to tackle, just because I don't know if they can make money off of it.
I don't think they can.
It's a bunch of characters that a lot of people don't know of, and with the supernatural, magical stuff. You know, we had talked about it on a previous episode about how DC has been trying to stay with a grounded reality, serious tone. And I think I saw some complaints like, well, Dark Knight Rises, there was like all these plot holes and it wasn't realistic. Yes, it did have plot holes and some of those things weren't realistic, but that doesn't mean that that's not what they were trying to do.
Right.
They were trying to do a serious and realistic tone. And with what we've seen with Man of Steel, it seems like they're continuing on that same path. So we haven't seen anything that leads us to believe, okay, they are going to go to that magic, supernatural yet. But yeah, if they do say, okay, Wonder Woman is a descendant of Zeus, that's her father, then okay, then the doors start to open.
Yeah, throws the floodgates open. All right, folks, we got a couple minutes left. So we do this show live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And in our chat board, people get to ask questions. Ashley is our gatekeeper today, so Ashley's going to pick some questions out from the chat board, and we're going to do this kind of rapid-fire style. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Justin Roland writes, hey guys, love the show. I was wondering what your thoughts were on Zac Efron saying he had a meeting about a lead role in a Star Wars episode.
I think 7,000 actors in Hollywood said they had meetings. That's seriously, like, ask any of them. All these actors said there were literally hundreds of meetings that happened. So I would be surprised to find out somebody didn't have a meeting. I think probably Seth Rogen probably had a meeting. So I'm not surprised. I think Zac Efron is a very talented dude. I think he's a very talented dude. So, I mean, I could see that, but I don't read into it at this point because there have been about 40 or 50 people that have been confirmed who have had meetings. That doesn't mean anything's going to happen. So let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I don't really have a big opinion on Zac Efron. I really don't think I've seen anything he's been in. Maybe like 5 minutes of, what was that movie, Charlie St. Cloud or something? Didn't really care for that, but that might have just been the movie itself. Right. Yeah, a lot of people. I would love to see a Michael B. Jordan or a Dane DeHaan in the new Star Wars.
Oh, it all depends on the character.
Yeah.
All depends on the character. All right, what else we got?
Freemantle85 writes, is there any development for the Wicked movie adaptation?
From what I understood, it got paused because there's a lot of Wizard of Oz stuff going on right now, both an animated thing, a couple more live action things being done by different studios because the rights and the copyright, one copyright belongs to the old MGM movie, one copyright belongs to the book, and it's a very tangled thing. So the last I heard, it was paused. I don't think it's canceled, but I don't think there's been any development on that. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Have you heard anything?
I mean, at the time that they were working on Oz, they were talking about, okay, the Wicked movie. But yeah, it's kind of stalled. And now I think they have a bigger problem. You have Disney's Maleficent coming out, which is basically, it's not the same story, but it's the same vibe where you see the villain and how they became the villain and kind of like the different side. And that's what Wicked is.
Yeah, but I don't think that'll stop them. If anything, I think they might try to capitalize on it. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Chris H. writes, question, if Godzilla is successful this May, do you think it will start a new series of Godzilla films?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if we know anything, Hollywood is all about trying to franchise things, because franchise means greater potential for profits for the next film. So, yeah, no, I have no doubt. They didn't make this Godzilla film thinking, hey, let's make one Godzilla movie. No. They're thinking ahead of that. They're thinking, let's make this as good as we can. I guarantee you Bryan Cranston's probably signed on for a 3-film deal. So is Kick-Ass. Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm guarantee you he's probably signed on for 3 films. That doesn't mean they're going to make 3 films. It just means they've got them under contract. So they are definitely thinking franchise, unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, franchise. And not only that, I think if it does well enough, that will revitalize talks of Pacific Rim 2.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt. No doubt about that. All right, what's next?
Kenlyn Washington writes, when will we see another Predator movie?
Honestly, I think Predator's done. I really do. I think Predator's done, which is kind of weird because I liked the last Predator movie they did, the one they did with Adrian Brody. I actually kind of liked that film. I didn't. It's not a classic, but I liked it. I had a good time with it. But I get the feeling the franchise is probably done. I mean, maybe in 5 years something, maybe some direct-to-home video stuff. But I don't think they're gonna do Predator again.
It didn't do very well. So
it didn't do great. No.
Maybe 10 years from now.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's do a couple more rapid fire.
Okay, Gino Reno writes, if Tim Burton were to direct another superhero movie,
then I wouldn't watch it. Sorry, go ahead.
Which superhero would you guys like to see him direct?
Honestly, okay, so I'm not the biggest Tim Burton fan in the world, although there are a couple of his films that I do quite like. But overall, I'm not a Tim Burton fan. But if you were to say to me, Tim Burton is going to do a Plastic Man movie, that match intrigues me. A Tim Burton doing a Plastic Man, that's intriguing to me. I think that has some possibilities. What about you?
I love the first Batman, but yeah, I don't think right now where he's in his career, I think a superhero movie would fit what he's doing and his style. And I didn't really care for what was that, Alice in Wonderland?
Oh no, that was awful.
Yeah. So I personally am not looking forward to one.
Okay, let's do a few more.
Jonathan Bell writes, will we see a Kick-Ass 3?
I don't think so. I think, look, financially it did okay, but I think they know the quality of Kick-Ass 2. While I really enjoyed Kick-Ass 2, I did. But even I will tell you, it was a step down from the first Kick-Ass. And I don't think it did as well financially. I think they were hoping it would do a little bit better. It did okay, but they were hoping it would do better. No, I think Kick-Ass is also a franchise they're probably done with. I have nothing to back that up with. That's just my feeling of it. What do you think?
I would really like to see a Kick-Ass 3, but yeah, for the same reasons, I don't think we're going to see one. And also, I don't think Mark Millar has written a Kick-Ass 3 comic book.
I'm not sure.
There's
there
a Hit Girl. There's Kick-Ass, I think, whatever
I think
the first
there are
series.
A number of Kick-Ass
2
graphic novels. I don't think there's like Kick-Ass
Girl.
and Kick-Ass 2. I think they have a number of graphic novels, and each movie pulls from some of them. I'm not really clear on that whole. Schnepp would be better to answer that question than us.
Yeah, they have a Hit Girl spin-off comic book, I know. But yeah, and also I think with Chloe Moretz getting older, it's not the same anymore.
Oh, they're all getting older.
Yeah, but her character, it was fun seeing her jump around as a little kid, like kicking people's asses in the first one, and then by the second one you saw, she's like, okay, she's like, a teenager now.
Yeah, it changed vibes. All right, what else?
Christian Films writes, do you think Joss Whedon will write a prequel to Cabin in the Woods after he's finished with Avengers 2?
Nope.
No.
All right, next.
Seth Brown writes, when do you think we will get a Guardians of the Galaxy trailer?
I gotta say within the month. I guess I found out a couple of weeks ago that they actually weren't going to do it at the Super Bowl, and I thought that was a mistake. They should have, but I'm going to guess within the month.
I think it was a mistake too, because it's the perfect time to tell most everyone else this
wide audience.
especially people who aren't like huge like comic book fans or superhero fans, that there's a movie called Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sure if you talk to any of your regular friends that aren't into that stuff, they have no clue who Guardians of the Galaxy is. So putting that there, I think would have been a good move. But I think it's probably going to be somewhere near when Captain America 2 comes out, maybe a month before.
Okay. Uh-oh.
It's going so fast. Okay, A.P. Tremore writes, what are your thoughts on the other Transformer movies, and do you think this one will be better or worse?
I love the first one, hated the second two. I have a feeling this is my feeling. I have a good feeling about this film. I'm hoping it's almost as good as the first one, hopefully much better than the second two.
I liked the first one, didn't love it, and the second and third one I hated. I think this fourth one will probably be better than the second and third one, but probably not as good as the first one.
All right, and we're just guessing, by the way. We're just guessing. Ashley's still trying so hard to keep up on the...
I know, you guys are like...
All right, let's do one more.
Speed Bump 5 writes, question, if Batman vs. Superman is bad, will they reboot it with a Batman movie or a Superman movie?
No, we kind of talked about this before. Right now, DC's in a spot where I think they can handle one speed bump at this point. Because I think Man of Steel was so solid, performed really well, it was a really good film. If they do one bad one now, I don't think that derails the train. If they do two in a row that are bad, then they probably scrap the whole thing and reboot. But no, I think Batman vs. Superman could be bad, and I think it's going to be good. I question some of the casting decisions, but whatever, that aside, I think it's going to be good. But if it is bad, I think the new universe they've created survives, and I think they go on to the third film in this new universe, and then we'll see. Then it gets interesting, but I think it can survive one big bump in the road right now.
I think so too, and also, I mean, that we've been complaining about DC is they need to just get a plan together and then stick with it. Just go full throttle with it. I mean, obviously you have to make certain changes here and there if things aren't working, but you should still try and execute your plan, and that's what Marvel's doing so well.
Yeah, and let's face it, their plan is Justice League.
Yeah.
And so at least get to Justice League and do that. And look, if Batman vs. Superman or Man of Steel 2 sucks, and then you get to Justice League and Justice League is bad, okay, then you did your plan and it didn't work. Time to go back to the drawing board. But at least get to Justice League. You got to at least do that to see if that works. So, all right, folks, that'll do it for us today. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for a little while as a part of your school day, work day, whatever it is you guys are doing today. Don't forget, lots of great movies playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. Listen, I don't mention this a lot, but if you want an audio-only version of this show for your ride to work or whatever, check in the description of this video and you'll find links to our iTunes and our Stitcher Radio. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, too. I want to thank, first of all, our production manager, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on YouTube, ThinkHeroPro.
Our lovely host today, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @AshleyMova.
And you can find me on the various social media networks just @JohnCampia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow. So my name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. And until then, bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.